A new year can often be a very exciting time in WWE, as we start with the Royal Rumble and then we go into WrestleMania season. As we begin to enter WrestleMania season, this is often the time when WWE begins to push new talent or old talent that they haven't used much recently. So here are our 5 WWE superstars we think are destined to shine in 2021.
The Riott Squad.
This year could be the perfect time for the Riott Squad to finally get that push into the spotlight that I think they deserve. A few months back, Sarah Logan left WWE and the Riott Squad seemed to disappear for a short period of time. They came back, and since they've came back, they seem to be appearing more on TV. They seem to be putting in good matches, picking up some victories, which suggests that maybe they're moving up in the ranks. And with the women's tag team division the way it is currently, I think teams like the Riott Squad are being called out for, and putting the titles on someone like them would be a good option for WWE to take.
Oh, I agree completely, 100%. Ever since they split up the Iconics, I feel like there's not been a real tag team in WWE and women's division anyway. It's always a mashup of two wrestlers. Like the Sasha and Bayley thing was great, and you can see that as a tag team. But the tag team champions right now are Charlotte Flair and Asuka. Just two people being mashed up. There's no storylines. There's no cohesions. We need a tag team as a tag team. We need the Iconics back as well. The Riott Squad are a perfect opportunity to have an actual tag team as tag team women's champion.
I think so. I think putting the titles on the Riott Squad in 2021 and pushing them as champions and building the women's tag team division around them would be a good move for WWE to make.
It's a new year. Basically, obviously, we're seeing Big E's just won the IC title. He's getting that push. Like, he was supposed to get this push back in, 2013, 14? When he was with Dolph. He was getting that push. Then he won the IC back then. And it's taken a while, but obviously he's had great success as tag team wrestlers. And seeing Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston on a different brand now, and Kofi fighting for himself, I think it's a good move. I think Big E is that wrestler that looks believable as a world champion. I think Big E can be a world champion, and he's hella funny.
The only issue I have with Big E staying in that comedy lane is for the past 4-5 years, the New Day have painted themselves as the comedy factor of WWE. And now that Big E has pushed himself into the singles lane and is acting as a singles competitor, I think he needs to move away from that. He needs to move back into his old Big E Langston mode, be more dominant, be more intimidating, and less comedic.
To be fair, I remember when he was in NXT, and he had that certain arrogance about him with the 5 count, just coming to the ring whenever he wanted. And they carried it on with the Dolph Ziggler with the heel push. But the problem with that is that Big E was always going to go face after that because the way Dolph got over, and he was always going to be loved. So when he did go singles without Dolph, he was a face. And he kept that for a while.
I don't think face or heel will be a problem for Big E going into this year.
Yeah, I think Big E would make a very good heel, but he's on a brand where they've got a top dog as a main heel. So is there a point of putting Big E as a heel right now if he is going to get this push that we say he is? If he stays face, it makes more sense, doesn't it?
He can stay face and still be dominant. I just think they need to strip back the comedy just a little bit, highlight the fact that Big E is a destructive wrestler.
I think 2021 would be a good year for Big E Langston. Sonya Deville.
It feels like such a long time since we've seen Sonya Deville properly appear on WWE television. She lost a no disqualification loser leaves WWE match at SummerSlam, and we haven't seen her since. On the 1st of January, she appeared backstage on SmackDown, and Corey Graves informed us that she had been reinstated on the SmackDown brand. She appeared wearing her suit, which suggested maybe she might come back with that heel character she was using prior to SummerSlam. I think bringing her back as that same character, especially with the women's division they have on SmackDown and how strong it is, putting her in as a solid heel would be a great move on WWE's behalf.
Oh, I agree completely. I think Sonya Deville was looking very promising as that character last year with the backstage segments with Dolph Ziggler. I thought they were amazing. I thought the whole storyline was great. The whole jealousy for Mandy Rose and Otis, because we all know that the jealousy was because Sonya Deville was using her partner. I think the evil side and the conniving side of Sonya came out really well in character. I think she's going to be a very good heel this year. I don't see her failing with the character and the personality she's got. I think she's very good on the mic, very good talker. She's very solid in the ring as well.
There were definitely times during that storyline with Mandy Rose that it felt like WWE were about to push her as the breakout star of that tag team.
I know, it was a big shame. Obviously, she didn't get the push and Mandy did, and now nothing's come really of that whole thing. Because we've now got Otis on Raw, the storyline's dead. Otis's character and the hype and push is gone. So I think they've wasted an opportunity massively there with Sonya. Like, she could have been the one getting pushed, and I think it would have went a lot better as well. But obviously they had to do what was right because of the face and the heel losing the WWE kind of match. That obviously the face doesn't really.
Hopefully WWE have seen that mistake that they made and seen that Sonya Deville can be a big player in the women's division. And hopefully this year will show that.
Adam Cole, baby. It's baby time. Adam Cole is one of those performers that wherever he is, he will always be near the top. Is WWE scared to raise him to that next level in the main roster, or as we think is the main roster? To be fair, I could see Adam Cole going for the world title, but we would hope that he would face people like Daniel and AJ in the future. I think that'll make some great TV, some great matches. But does that mean that Undisputed is no more? Does that mean he's going to somehow shine from NXT? They're going to do crossover brands? I don't know. But I think this year is when Adam Cole will either be the world champion or he'll be at top of that NXT again.
The problem with the main roster situation currently is that NXT isn't essentially seen as development anymore in the fans' eyes. It's seen as the third brand, and often it's seen as the best brand because it puts on the best matches and it has compelling storylines, it has great wrestlers. And with the competition going on right now on Wednesday nights, I'm not sure if WWE are going to be bold enough to move top guys like Adam Cole, Roddy, Kyle, Bobby Fish to the main roster, because they risk losing viewers on Wednesday night, and I'm not sure that's a step they're going to take. Pushing Adam Cole back to the top of NXT is definitely something that I see happening shortly. They seem to be already on those lines with Kyle facing Finn, so there's room for Undisputed Era storylines to happen within that.
The only problem with NXT being called the third brand is that a lot of people still don't see it that way. And it seems more as where the indie guys go, wrestle well, get a call up, and then just see what happens on Raw or SmackDown. That's the way it seems. That's the way it's been for 5 to 6 years. People go up, people go down. But if Raw and SmackDown is seen as the main brands, I think it's time for Adam Cole to be on one of those main brands and be fighting for the titles.
Personally, I would love to see Adam Cole get a call up and go to somewhere like SmackDown.
So you've just said it yourself. You just said call it a call up.
Yeah, it's what it's seen as, but
I also agree with NXT also being a third brand because how well they're doing. But the only reason NXT is classed as a third brand now is because they've got to be a third brand because of the rivalry with AEW and stuff. But what I'm saying is that Adam Cole will be on Raw and SmackDown this year, and he will succeed on Raw and SmackDown because NXT is still a developmental brand. Adam Cole will be a world champion this year. Keith Lee.
Back in December, Keith Lee was sent back to the Performance Center, and there was a lot of talk online. There was a lot of discussion that Vince McMahon wasn't happy with the way Keith Lee was performing, that he wasn't happy with his in-ring skills. Personally, I think being sent back to the Performance Center isn't a bad thing always. It just means there's something he needs to work on, something that Vince McMahon has pointed out. But within weeks of this news breaking, Keith Lee was pushed into the title picture against Drew McIntyre. He had a world title match qualifier against Sheamus, which he won, and earned himself a title match against Drew McIntyre. Being pushed into the title picture so soon after news breaking of him being sent back to the Performance Center suggests to me that Vince McMahon sees something in Keith Lee and is trying to work on that to push him into a bigger picture.
See, my problem with the Performance Center and the sending a person back to it doesn't set a good example for just the casual listeners and casual followers of WWE. It sounds like a punishment. But for Keith Lee, it looks like it has elevated his persona and his involvement in the title pictures recently. Obviously, means that Vince is now, after seeing him perform in the Performance Center, has got more hype on him. So we all know that Vince loves the big man, and the big man isn't really available in WWE right now. We've got people like Drew and Roman that are also big men, but Keith is what you would class as a super heavyweight that can move. And I think Vince thinks WWE needs that. And somewhat I do agree. I think Keith Lee is, to be honest, pretty amazing in the ring. And I think the way he comes across with some of the promos and the in-ring moves it isn't benefiting him though, because he seems like everything that the boss says he does. And I don't think we get the best of Keith Lee. So hopefully once he starts to prove himself, he can start becoming more out of his shell and back to the old Keith Lee that we also watch in Evolve and how amazing he was back then in those little dingy arenas. So hopefully we're going to see Keith Lee surmise my expectations of him just being another WWE Vince McMahon big guy push, and then we can all bask in his glory. Thanks for tuning in to Pro Wrestling Weekly UK. That was the 5 WWE superstars destined to shine in 2021. Hope you enjoyed. Make sure you like, subscribe, and we'll see you next time on Pro Wrestling Weekly UK.